STEM ideas. After all, you are entitled to Brad's opinion. Here's your host, Brad Allard.
Well, I'm here with Alex Phillips today. We're going to talk about what's going on in Burleson. But before the show started, we were commiserating about the Rangers. That was,
yes.
It's sad, isn't it? But it just, I don't want to get into all the details, but the pitcher that the Astros threw out there had like a 9 ERA, and the guy that closed them off in the last of the game was his major league debut, and they still no hit the Rangers. Oh my goodness! But we're not here to talk about such sad things. We're talking about happy things, growing things in Burleson. There's a couple of things I was going to bring up in particular, because when I tell people, they ask who's going to be on the show, and I mention this guy, that guy, they often have questions. And for Alex, they had a couple of questions like that new Italian restaurant and a couple of spaces that are going on, and anything he can tell us about. We joke about how he's so tight-lipped with things, but that's it. And also, I was going to ask, we've talked about this before, but since my audience is growing so exponentially large, not everybody's heard it, and we ought to talk about when you're having these conversations with potential businesses, what are they asking about?
Yeah, for sure.
So let's talk about some of the already existing businesses here in Burleson, because well known, of course, everybody knows our place. You've been there before, I bet.
Sir.
You've been there several times. So
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's a great place, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it is. It's not just the food's good; it's just the atmosphere is good, And what I like in particular is their staff is pretty consistent. You're not having this massive turnover all the time, and so you walk in, they know you by name in some cases, and I know that when my Sunday school men and I get together every other week, I already know pretty much what we're going to order.
Yeah,
and it's kind of, so you like that hometown thing going on.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and then Gina's. I was Saturday. Myself and Robin and two other couples were doing some work at Promises Community. And I'm going to talk about those needs at the end of the show for the food pantries. But anyway, and afterwards we went to Gina's. Their suggestion. I went like, hey, let's go, help my sponsor. They said, let's go to Gina's. And I'm like, I'm on board. And I really enjoy the food there. And the music, not just the live music, but I like the background music. I know that stuff and I enjoy it. But they also have all this stuff going on. Wednesday, Tuesday, it's bingo night.
Yeah.
And I don't.
He's always got something going on.
Yeah, you think it's an older crowd or something like that.
Yes.
I've been there some Monday nights on chess night, and it's mostly kids.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. And then they have karaoke tomorrow night, and then live music on Sunday night. It's a pretty happening place. Also, my buddy John at Old Pro Roofing, 817-734-2756. Apparently we're going to have weather tonight. Yesterday caught me off guard. I didn't know it was going to rain, but that's the way it is in May.
Yeah.
And you want to know if your roof is in good shape. You don't want to be thinking about it. And he came out last week to check my roof out, and it was all good. And it, it's got the passing grade, and he wasn't selling me or anything like that. I've gotten 4 phone calls in the last 2 weeks from people I have no idea who they are saying, we want to come check your roof out. And like, oh, of course. Stranger whom I can barely understand in the first place. Why don't you come and walk all over my roof and tell me all the damages I got?
Yeah, for sure.
You want to deal with home folks. They're about a block from City Hall. They've been here from 2006, I believe.
Yeah.
Something
20
like
years.
Yeah. 817-734-2756. Also, same thing with real estate. You could do all this yourself online, but why? You got Jeff Kelly here to do it at 817-781-0546. Also, you can catch him at jeffkellyrealty.com. He's going to be on the show on the 4th of June. That's a week from Thursday. And we're going to talk about real estate, and we're going to talk about rates, and we're going to talk about how Burleson is still growing. Whatever you read in the national media about housing sales are down or whatever else, it didn't seem to happen in Burleson too much.
I think it's slowing a little bit.
Yeah, a little.
But, it'll pick back up.
But you probably have to keep up with demographic data, because they're going to ask you that. Potential business are going to ask you who's coming in and what's the age groups. And do y'all do that work yourself, or do you have like a company you'll deal with for the
No, we pull that data ourselves in-house and, share that with different, organizations that are asking those questions, or we're just updating our website on a year-to-year basis.
Yeah, well, there's, when I talk to Jeff, he says the things that bring him to Burleson is schools, police, and business. They want to be able to conduct their business and not to be driving to Fort Worth all the time. And I think we've really achieved a lot of that over the last few years.
100%.
Yeah, it's all up to you, because of you, man.
No, not just because of me. It's a huge team effort.
Yeah, it is, and it's not, when I say team effort, it's not just the the city. I mean, the schools and everybody has to do their part. Anyway,
For sure.
I dropped my phone. That's not good. Anyway, so also, my friend Rod Lewis, he'll be on the show in about 2 weeks. We talk about that, the Burleson News Express. Have you been interviewed yet by him?
I have not.
You need to be.
So.
I'll send him your direction because he's really making this a go, and it's really it's good for the city because we need to have some way of keeping up with it.
I've seen it around. I've picked up a couple different issues and stuff like that. And it's it's good stuff.
Well, I've seen it at Dayton Coffee a lot, and that's one place I get it, and also I get it at. I was at Christian Brothers. I think they had some there. And so, a lot of these mechanics, a lot of these salons, a lot of these coffee shops, some of the city buildings all have that. And it's good to have, some local stuff going on. I believe they had a really nice article about a former city council member who you may know, who passed away.
Jim Wadlow?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I was not familiar with him, but you probably knew who he was.
Yes, sir.
Also, another friend, True Climate, Heating and Cooling with Will Cobb and his sister Emily Cobb at 682-244-2019. I just want to say on a side note, Will, we know your wife is undergoing some surgery, not life-threatening surgery, but we still want to have your thoughts our thoughts are with you. It's just, I don't want to over dramatize it, but we still want to pray for her quick recovery. 682-244-2019. They came out about a month ago, check my air conditioner out, because I don't want to find out in mid-June I need a new unit.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's what happened several years ago before I knew True Climate, before they were even in business. It went out in mid-June. That's not a good time to do it.
Nope.
So, yeah.
It's not.
I believe that's it. Most of the nonprofits are at the end, and I think there's only a couple that are still active right now as far as events. But anyway, like I said earlier, when I say, I want to talk to the great Alex Phillips, it's like I'm talking to the great and powerful Oz. Ask him this, ask him that, And one of the first things they asked was about that new Italian restaurant. All right. And it's, it's different. It's going to be different for Burleson, not just for Italian food, but for dining as a whole. Well,
absolutely.
Can you tell us now about the background story? I mean, I know it wasn't like they just showed up and there you are.
No,
there's a lot of conversation.
I mean, pretty close. I mean, not too different from that, but he called the city and he actually called 311 to get connected to development offices. It came to my phone and he told me who he was and who he was with and wanted more information about the Razoo space and told him about it, told him a little bit about our community. And then next thing I know, that afternoon, he's down looking at the space with the landlord and the property owner and started having discussions. He started reaching out, on social media to, Burleson residents and, Burleson residents talking, Burleson residents and neighbors and talking to them.
Just like different types.
He was really doing his due diligence and talking to other restaurant owners and managers down in Old Town of kind of what the district was like, what is the community like, from all different aspects. And, it worked to a point to, they were able to put a deal together with the property owner and go into that space.
Well, the reaction I got when I was just doing my informal conversations was a mix of, we're really glad they're coming.
Yeah.
Will Burleson support this type of restaurant? Because this isn't a fast food joint. It's a date place. It's going to have atmosphere. It's going to have a wine list, all this other stuff.
Yes.
And they're the ones I talked to are hopeful it makes, because they'd like to, birthday, anniversary. We have a handful of places, Revelry and Station 330 could do very well for you for that.
Sure.
But you want variety.
Yeah, we've been asked for fine dining Italian for a while now, and there just hasn't been for Old Town. We really try to look at be patient and try to find somebody that is family owned and operated or doesn't have a lot of locations, things of that nature that kind of fit the theme of Old Town of being more locally owned and operated.
Right.
So when this phone call came in, and he doesn't serve pizza, so it doesn't compete with Twisted Sisters or Buffalo Bros, but it's fine dining Italian with homemade pastas and dry aged meat. And I mean, we've been to the Hearst location, me and my wife, a couple times, and it's fantastic.
Well, my sister-in-law lives in Hearst, and I mentioned it. And she and her husband, my brother-in-law, have been there. It's been a little while, but they were there, and they said, "You're getting one of that's we're moving down there." They thought they were moving the whole thing. No, they're just opening up another location. They said, "Thank goodness, because we like that place."
Yeah.
And my wife and I, when we go to Dallas to go to antique shop or whatever, we used to go to Maggiano's a lot. And the sad thing about Maggiano's, they changed their menu about a year ago, and it's not nearly as good as it was before.
Yeah.
But prior to that, it was like Maggiano's was a place that we would go for special type occasions. And
this will be that type of place.
yeah.
It's going to be called On the Rocks Bistro, Italian Bistro. One of the things that we're going to be doing, by the time that they open is, we're going to bring back valet parking to the Old Town District.
ooh, that'd be fun.
So that way we'll be more situated to take on any more crowds or traffic or things of that nature for the whole district.
Well, that'd be fun. Valet parking. Some of the comments I saw when that was posted about them coming is, what about the parking? Well, you know what?
I mean, it's going to come out if it was fine dining Italian or it was going to be a pop-up snow cone machine.
Yeah.
I mean, parking was going to be brought up. I mean, I get it. It's the issue that we have with being successful.
Yeah.
I'll take we don't have enough parking because that means that all of our businesses in Old Town are being successful.
Well, what bugs me a little bit is that, people are like, well, if I can't park in the front door and walk 20 feet, then that's a too far a walk. Are you kidding me? No, you go downtown Fort Worth, you're going to walk.
Some of those concerns, with our older demographic in town, we want to make sure we have enough ADA and handicap parking in Old Town to make it feasible. And it's an issue that we look at, seriously each year of looking at properties that, does this make sense for additional parking or, and that's what we've done with, with the development of the Ellison on the plaza with where Razoo's was and where Buffalo Bros is now. Our city offices are at now. We added that parking at the old PD lot, which was like 130 some odd spaces.
Well, if they're going to do valet, then that's going to be helpful.
Yeah. So, and then we, had an agreement with First Baptist Church to utilize their parking when, they're not using it. And
I'd like to take credit for that, but I'll be struck by lightning. So
either way. So, and we're, got a little parking project going on that's right next to a parking lot right there on Warren Street to add a few more parking spaces.
Is that that's being torn down?
Yeah. It'll be parking there.
Okay,
as well.
see that old building. I know the west building.
The west building will be a new development. It'll be a 2-story development with offices on top of retail commercial on the bottom floor.
That's great.
Yeah. It looks a little weird with that building gone, but
it does. But I a while back, a couple of years ago, I was suggesting to Taylor that he'd take over that space, because it was city owned and they could probably work out some sort of landlord agreement. And he said, well, fine, you want to move all this gear, then think about it. But he wasn't that interested. But I thought that had to be prime location for so many different things.
It is, and that's why, city council, about longer than 10 years ago, made the decision to, go out and buy property in and around City Hall to be strategic, to be able to get developments in the future. The plaza was the first phase, and then, second phase being the building where On the Rocks is going to go with Buffalo Bros and city offices. And, and then this is another piece of property that the city owned to, it's protecting what we want to see in our downtown and what is needed in our downtown with future development.
Well, like that property that's on Wilshire, where the old Methodist Hill College, et cetera, was. That city-owned property as well.
On Renfro.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Renfro, Wilshire.
No, you're good.
But anyway, y'all could afford to be more particular. Now, if that was privately owned, if somebody wanted to put a pizza joint in there, that's...
As long as it's zoned properly,
right.
They can go.
But do y'all have that kind of latitude when you own the property, say, no, we already have enough pizza or whatever?
We can be very patient and very picky with what goes on that lot. And, that's up to city council and management to make those decisions when we bring deals forward of, is this the right deal? Is this the right mix? We feel like we are in a very good place in Old Town of the number of restaurants that we have.
Well,
and we need them to become more mature over time, and then as we grow, there will be some additional, restaurants maybe placed in Old Town in the future.
Do you consider across the street from Old Town, like where Fish City and Rio Mambo and that, or Rim, do you consider that Old Town?
Yes, that's Old Town as well.
Okay, so but not just by, that's by zoning, right?
Yeah.
Not just by your
Yeah,
opinion.
it's Old Town District.
Okay, so now that you have some control over certain pieces of property, you can say, look, we already have enough pizza joints, right?
Exactly.
Right. Now, if I owned it myself, I tore it down and I wanted a pizza joint, then you'd say, good luck to you, brother.
Well, and it's just like the On the Rocks Bistro that is coming in. That was my first question: is do you serve pizza? Because if you do, then we might be looking at something else.
When you talk about that space, that old Razoo space, that's a privately owned space, right?
It is.
And so if that guy insisted on another pizza joint, then
Sure.
But if 3 pizza joints right in a row,
But if he
of course
was
they're
needing-
all behind Gina's. I mean, they're not.
Yeah, if he needed anything from the city in terms of an incentives or anything like that, then that's something that we would look at. That it competes with something we already have.
Well, I just scanning it mentally in my head. I think we got just about every food group out there.
Yeah.
Unless Chinese maybe. Some.
Yeah. We were looking at hibachi places, before we got the call from On the Rocks and things of that nature. We didn't have anybody interested in yet, but looking at, we asked the business owners of like the restaurant owners of like, hey, what's a good co-tenant for you guys? What kind of concept does that look like?
I know this sounds unusual, but we could use a upscale Chinese restaurant, because there was one in Fort Worth that my wife and I went to. It's gone now, called August Moon, and it was very nice. When you think of Chinese food, we think of China doll.
Yeah,
that
was not upscale.
No, but it sure was good.
It was good, but that was not upscale.
No, and neither was China King. But talk about it with instead of buffet or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
And maybe that'll be next.
Yeah, who knows? I mean,
how much does the public's reaction have to do with this? Because I know of another space that's getting some reaction, that Capone Speakeasy Bar.
Yeah.
Some people say, we got enough bars as it is. Does that factor into anything at all?
It's zoned for that. It's zoned for food, restaurant, bar. We don't have any straight bars in town. They have to sell a certain percentage of food versus alcohol.
Right. 51% or something like that.
It's 60-40 nowadays after COVID. So it's, Capone's, I'm not sure. Their permits are approved. They're ready to go. Their plans are ready to be picked up, but I don't know if Buffalo Bros coming in has kind of scared them a little bit of not moving forward. We have not heard anything from them in a while.
Okay. Well, I just wondered, because when I saw the signs a few months ago, and then,
the signs have been out there for 2 years.
Yeah. So. And I saw I've seen comments on some of these pages about what do you want to see in Burleson? And almost always that have negative comments, you might say, are no more bars. I'm like, I didn't know we had a lot of bars actually, but no more places, that serve alcohol. But I just wondered if that was ever a factor in y'all's end of it. It may be a factor in the owner's end of it. He may say, I don't need this grief, or I'm not getting the reception I thought I would. But y'all basically are kind of a neutral decision maker in a sense.
A little bit. I mean, we want to make sure that it's a good fit for our community. We don't want to bring somebody in that has been run off from another community because they can't do what they're supposed to be doing, things of that nature. If we know somebody that's coming from a different city, we'll reach out to that other city.
That's kind of what I was going to ask you next. Do you do background checks on these people?
A little bit. We do some due diligence on them and to understand who they are and what they stand for, and making sure they're a good fit for us.
Yeah, I guess you don't want to have somebody kind of move into the city that has all these health code violations and all this other stuff. Or, you don't have
and
that reputation.
That goes for retail, restaurants, industrial companies, stuff like that. We want to understand who they are and make sure they're a good fit for the community.
So back to this On the Rocks, whatever. You said you've been to there when Hearst.
Yes.
How would you describe that experience?
It's very upscale on the inside, even though they're basically they're in a strip center.
Oh yeah, right.
But it's very upscale. Tablecloths, wine glasses on the table.
I may have been there with my in-laws 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah,
because they like those kind of places,
Very good.
that are kind of in these strip malls. Do you have to know about to go there? There's a couple of it's
a little
like
bit.
like Sammy's, right?
Yeah, for sure. But very, I mean, you can tell that their dishes are very homemade, curated, and great wine selection, great bourbon selection.
You said bourbon.
Yes. So,
well, I know somebody might be interested.
and
in that.
also, I mean, just the customer service is top notch.
Yeah, and family owned is a big
Yes,
deal.
family owned. They've been in business for 42 years in Hearst. So, I mean, that speaks volumes.
Then it really does make a difference, and I'm not just trying to shine at Otto, but because it's his place,
Yes.
he takes it very personally what goes on there.
For sure.
Same with any other these mom and pop restaurants.
Yeah, and Jason and Renee, they own it, husband and wife that own it, and with their dad. I mean, they're moving to Burleson.
Oh, really?
They're enrolling their kids in Burleson schools. I mean, they're going to be a part of the community. They're not managing this from afar.
Well, I bet Melissa and Candace at the over at Chamber of Commerce are going to be jumping all over them.
Oh yeah, for sure. Him and Renee were at business over breakfast this morning at the chamber stuff. So I mean, they're jumping in feet first for
That's
sure.
good. How old are these people? They have school age kids, I guess.
I mean, I'm not going to speculate.
Well,
on age,
no. Well, I
but
mean, they're
probably in their mid-30s.
Yeah, right. Okay, you don't have to say. Well, she looks like she's 34.7 years. No,
I'm gonna guess on
so
the
they're
smaller,
younger couple,
Yes,
right? We're
for
not
sure.
talking about like my age.
Yeah.
All right, good. Well, it's good that they want to be part of the community, not
Yes,
just in
for
economic
sure.
sense, but in the whole sense.
Yes.
I understand that attitude because when I was thinking about moving in 1991. Robin and I were living in Arlington in an apartment, and I said, I want to be part of the community that I teach in.
Yeah.
And so, because I wasn't concerned about going into Walmart or going into the grocery store and being recognized by a student or whatever. And I think that's a good thing that people who live in this community and have a business here,
They invest in the
have an
community.
investment. Is exactly
sure.
right. Yeah. And so there you go. As far as that space where the Old West building used to be, I guess it's right now. You said it's going to be, mixed use. But do you have any commitments about who's going to move into that?
No, I haven't seen any commitments yet. Other than the upstairs is going to be offices from David Shipman's offices are going to move over there to the top floor, and then the bottom floor. I haven't heard anything yet. That can be announced. I'll put it.
Well,
that way.
that's whoever gets that spot. It's a bird's nest on the ground, as they say, because that's
for sure.
a prime location right across from City Hall, and
It's going to be a beautiful building too.
Yeah.
I mean, so
is Shipman building it?
yes,
Okay,
he
well.
builds great buildings.
Yeah, sure.
So
And he built a lot in that Old Town area, sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear about that. There's another place. Is there? There is a speakeasy bar down in Old Town, isn't it? It's kinda-
Old Town Rumors is kind of a speakeasy.
Yeah.
They have jazz on the weekends and stuff like
but
that.
they don't publicize very much. I mean, it's unusual.
I think it's kind of the speakeasy vibe
Yeah.
too. Come to find out what it is and
Where
stuff like
exactly is it? I mean, it doesn't have real prominent signage and all this other stuff.
that. No, it's like right across the street from the brewery's patio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It's
So-
like between the Geek Out or whatever they call it and Babes.
And
all.
Babes. Yeah, it's a
at
smaller spot.
In that small area. Okay.
Yes.
That's interesting because Burleson speakeasies have a different from that 1920s. I'm sure we had a few.
Oh, I'm sure.
What they say about people in dry counties, they'll vote. They'll continue to vote dry as long as they can stagger to the
Yes.
polls.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Yes.
so that's a joke about Oklahoma that my cousin tells me. But anyway, as far as other spaces, all right, the one on Wilshire and Summercrest has been moving dirt, but I haven't seen any signs there. Can you tell us anything about going on in there?
Yeah, so we're taking an amendment to City Council on June 15th to kind of extend dates because the developer run into some issues, and especially with the having leases or LOIs completed with with tenants. But he's got the lineup kind of in a great place now. We just need to amend the amendment to move out dates. So as long as that gets approved on the 15th, and that'll be up to council.
And I'm sure they'll
approve it,
Yeah.
and then you'll start seeing movement later in the month of June for that to actually get developed.
Can you tell us who's moving in?
Yeah, so Frost Bank bought the corner lot. They'll be constructing a new bank location there.
Really?
And then there'll be a shell building that'll have 3 different tenants in it. One of them is Ono Hawaiian Barbecue.
Ooh. Different type of barbecue.
Yeah, another one is the Great Greek Mediterranean restaurant.
You get those gyro sandwiches; those are good.
Yeah, I'm not a big Mediterranean fan.
Well,
so,
no, but those or heroes, as they call them, those are good.
And then the third tenant hasn't been like secured, but maybe a salad concept kind of tenant. So
well, there was a salad place that went out of business.
Salad and Go
Yeah.
closed all of their locations across the Metroplex and in the state of Texas.
Okay,
it wasn't
so
just
okay.
our location. They closed everything.
It's kind of like Razoo's.
A little bit.
A lot of people think that was the only Razoo's that was closed, and it was Burleson specific, and they said it's the parking or it's this. And I believe Razoo's closed like 17 of their restaurants.
Yeah, Mikosina actually bought them, and Mikosina's transferred some of them from Razoo's to Mikosina, but not in our market. So
well, I like Fresco's and I like Mikosina.
And that's why Mikosina decided not to turn our Razoo's into Mikosina, because they did not want to take away from what Fresco's has already built.
Well, that, and I've been to Rio Mambo dozens of times, and it's good too. But when I want to go down home, Mexican Tex-Mex, I go to El Phoenix, Well, because a lot of it's because it's nostalgic. My grandfather and I would go to the downtown Dallas El Phoenix when they lived nearby there. And it's still open.
Well, it's like barbecue. Everybody's got their own flavor of Mexican food too.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's
and then
why,
of course Antonio's Miranda's been here before I was. They've been here forever.
100%.
So we're pretty well served about certain food groups, you might say.
Well, people say like, I wish we quit getting chicken restaurants or Mexican food restaurants, and they go off of supply and demand just like everybody else.
Well, we've talked about this before. You don't really tell them, oh, we already have enough chicken places. If they think that we don't have enough chicken places, that's really what's driving the decision. Not
if they feel like they can be successful here and the property is platted and zoned in what it needs to be, it's capitalist market.
Well, they talk about it like, gosh, Burleson doesn't need another coffee shop. Well, if somebody thinks so, that's we must need another coffee shop.
I mean, none of them have closed,
right?
So, and no car washes have closed. So, I mean, it's just people have to understand, and I didn't understand it first when I first got into economic development. Is our community is 55,000 people, but our retail trade market, people that come to our community to eat, shop, do business, is over 360,000 people. So we act like a much bigger community than who we are.
Well, not only that, but it's almost like you build momentum, because it's like sometimes it's like when you say, I want to go to Old Town for dinner.
Yeah.
You may not have a specific place in mind, but you know that there's like 9 different choices you can make.
Yeah, we got plenty of options.
Yeah, and that kind of thing. And all that business we had this past weekend with the carnival, that's tremendous publicity, because I bet you had families from Joshua and Alvarado and Grandview coming up to participate in that carnival.
We pull from, with events like that, we may pull from as far as Hillsboro.
Yeah. So if you've been to Hillsboro, there ain't much going on.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the breaking point of like, do I go north to do stuff? Before is like, do I go to Fort Worth or do I go to Waco? Now they can say, well, do I go to Burleson or do I go to Waco?
Yeah.
So, depending on what, they're wanting to do, and a big part of that is Alley Cats having it in town has been pulling from way farther away.
Oh, yeah.
For people coming to our community to play.
Well, you take something like Alley Cats, and just wonder if other companies that are in the same line of work as Alley Cats think, well, look at the money they're making. We want a piece of that action.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
I mean, and there'll be more entertainment options as we continue to grow. It's just we're always trying to reach out to different entertainment, establishments and to see, hey, would you be interested in our market? Things of that nature.
Well, and there's also, we don't talk about this so much, but what really helps is having Jellystone down about just south of us, right?
It helps too.
Oh, yeah, because you pull in, it's camping, whatever, but you want to go into the city for a decent meal. Boom, it's 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, it's the hospitality side of things,
Yeah.
with Jellystone, and now Tim Miller's doing a boutique hotel by the Standard.
Okay,
within the Standard.
that was the one I was trying to remember about.
Next to Chisenhall.
Yeah. I was wondering, I'll ask you about that, but I guess I couldn't remember. I know they're building something right next to like the potato and the beanery and all that.
That's Tim and his wife's kind of design office, and they're going to have a couple different entities in that, but it'll be more office and design for commercial and residential homes.
But I was asking about having a nice hotel in Burleson is one thing that would be nice. I mean,
we're working on it.
Yeah, that's harder to get, because we have all those just in Fort Worth, so close and whatnot.
So Tim's is going to be a Hilton Tapestry product. So it's going to have 80 rooms, 6 floors. So right there at the Standard.
Is it going to have like a restaurant at the bottom or anything like that?
I think he's looking at having a restaurant at the bottom and a couple retail spaces on the bottom.
Ooh. And we are getting upscale, ain't we?
A little bit. I mean, I think, with Chisenhall being, it's managed by a third party now with the sports facilities companies, and they have a lot more pull in tournaments across the nation to Chisenhall. And Chisenhall is a premier location for baseball, softball tournaments. So,
sure.
The more people and the more tournaments that they bring in, the more benefit our businesses see.
It sounds like Burleson's got some momentum going on. Are there anything that's working against us? Is it the national economy, maybe?
I think, the economy is always going to be, a question of,
all right.
When it's good, it's good. When it's bad, things slow down and things, I think a lot of our entities are still fighting inflation. I think we're still seeing the squeeze with, people don't want to, they're holding on to their money more instead of, maybe they eat out twice a month. They're just eating out once a month, and having to decide where they're eating,
Well, I tell you what,
that kind of thing.
Groceries is not the bargain it used to be. I can tell you that.
Not for sure.
So that's I used to do most of the cooking in our house, and I do most of the grocery shopping, and I can tell you that's just a factor is inflation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cost of construction and things of that nature. The materials keep rising, and if and when this business overseas is taken care of, there's going to be even a bigger demand for building materials worldwide. And so, but as far as Burleson itself, it sounds like we got a lot of momentum.
We do, and I think we benefit a lot with the momentum that Fort Worth has.
Right.
In Dallas-Fort Worth and DFW metro area, we benefit from that being a suburb.
I'm sure you read about 2 weeks ago, Fort Worth became the 10th largest city. And, 4 of the 10 largest cities are in Texas. When I taught Texas government, I would tell kids, what is your, what do you think of when you think of Texas? And it's always cowboys or the West or oil or whatever. Almost 85% of us live in urban or suburban communities. I mean, we're one of the most urbanized states in the union.
I think there was a report that came out of North Central Texas Council of Governments. It was like in the year 2100, which none of us will be here.
Oh, you never know.
But, we'll see.
Let's see what AI can do. Let's see
true. But that DFW would be the largest metro in the U.S.
I wouldn't doubt it.
It wouldn't shock me one bit.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, I was driving to see my family up in Oklahoma, and I go up 287, and I remember making that drive. I made that drive for 3 decades. All right, and up and past the 287 and 35 where it splits off. Used to be after that was all country. Now
it's not anymore.
Not anymore. I mean, I drove for almost 45 minutes, and it was nothing but development. And then there's like about a 10-mile spot of open land, and then I was in Decatur.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
and that's
that.
But
it. That was. I had family that grew up in McKinney.
Oh, yeah.
So, and there used to be, you know the difference between McKinney, Allen, Plano, and Richardson.
Oh, absolutely.
And now it's all grown together.
I graduated from Plano High School.
Yeah,
senior high was the only high school. Now there's 2 others. And I graduated in 1980, all right? And we didn't go to McKinney except for court appearances or your license renewed or
for sure.
Pay your tax or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, there was nothing in McKinney except a couple of coffee shops. And now my friend lives off that certain square, and I go visit him about every 6 weeks or so, and there's all sorts of stuff. Yeah. And I'm sure you've had people coming into Burleson to see what's the secret to y'all's success.
A little bit. Yeah. I mean, we all share ideas. I mean, with other communities our size, we see, we didn't get the idea to do the public plaza just by ourselves.
Right.
That was a former mayor that, went to Santa Fe a lot on vacation and love their public space and is like, okay, could we do something like that here?
Well, that really has helped a bunch.
It has, because it is our community's living room, and that's what we want it to be. We want it to be a gathering space for our community to come together.
And Chaz Forster's Farmers Market is just an event. I remember going to it when it was much smaller, and now it's like, going to the state fair or something like that.
So Chaz and Shelby, his wife, have done a fantastic job of building that market and working with us and working with local businesses in and around there and making sure it's a great event for the community as a whole.
Well, one thing I've noticed is the impact Burleson's having is what it's having here in Crowley. Okay, we're off of the main street in Crowley, and when we started working here, right after COVID was let up, they were building the streets, and it was a real pain to get to here. But they're trying to get restaurants here. They got Our Place here now. They got
Fred's here.
Fred's. They got, well, we don't say Fred's because they serve hamburgers. So,
well,
yeah. No, Otto's fine.
Yeah.
Otto is probably, he's not. He's not hyper competitive. Let's put it that way. He can appreciate good food in other places, right? Because I saw him one time at Revelry. I'm like, you're cheating on your own restaurant.
No, he's a good community player.
Yeah, Also across the street, the Fajita House. Which
the Fajita House is awesome.
It is.
I've been there a few times. It's great stuff.
I'm going there in about 20 minutes or so. I'm having a B&I 1-to-1 with my friend Rosie at Stop Restoration, and
the city of Crowley, Lori Watson, the city manager, and Matt, one of the deputy city managers, and Christina Winter, the deputy city manager there, and their EDC person, Molly Martin, that's my counterpart in Crowley. They've done a fantastic job of trying to, maneuver things in their downtown to get to where they're at. With their, Crowley Crossing's been a huge hit.
Is it really? Okay, so I don't keep up with Crowley as much.
With their downtown plaza area and their streetscape, and it changes the vibe.
It does.
And, getting people down here to invest in that are out-of-towners, I would say, per se, with Quincy and Fred's to, invest money down here to see the success. They'll build on it. I mean, it's just, that's what we did in Burleson. I mean, it's like, Babes and Frescoes were there almost 25 years ago.
Yeah.
So we build on that, and it's little by little. It doesn't happen overnight.
Well, I've told you this story before, but I think what really was a catalyst is when Fort Worth put in that Chili's and On the Border and all that on the east side of 35. And they're getting the benefit, and people said, hey, we want that for ourselves. And it changed a few things. Yeah. Gateway Station, and then they allowed changes in the restaurant liquor laws, and that made a big difference. And Fresco's and Babe's been there 25 years. It's like I remember them coming in, and it was like a moon landing in Burleson.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It was a big deal for Babes in particular.
100%.
Because everybody had known about Babes from where are they up in North Fort Worth area?
In Roanoke.
Roanoke, yeah. And so it was a big deal. And so as old timers can remember Odom's Barbecue and the malt shop and all that. And
I remember Miss Odom as my librarian. So
really,
at Mound.
Really, I did not know that. I just remember her as the Miss Odom was the barbecue lady.
Yeah,
she was the kids called her.
She was the librarian at Mound with Miss Braun.
Well, how about that? That's interesting. So it was, you have, all this going on, and I really think that, the growth here is unprecedented, to put it that way. I mean, there's nothing really I don't think is going to stop it, to tell you the truth. And,
No, I mean, it's going to speed up, slow down. I mean, it's going to be a little bit of a roller coaster depending on what the economy is. I mean, it really is. And I think, the more people, it's just not moving into Burleson. It's moving into our trade market. So it's the Joshua, Cleburne, Godley, Glen Rose, those areas that keep on growing faster than what we do. They're still coming to our community to eat, shop, and play.
Well, like Godley, where'd you go to Godley for? Del Norte Taco.
And they're getting a few other things in their community, but they're where we were 30 years ago.
How long have you been doing this, by the way?
I've been with the city 18. I've been with the EDC for going on 12.
12 years. So 12 years ago, you probably had more of a sales job than you do now, I would imagine, in a sense, because now you could say to a potential, we have all this development here, but 12 years ago, we weren't there. We weren't at the place 12 years ago that we are now, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And so you probably had to, sell the community. Now the community sells itself.
to the most part.
And I'm not trying to imply that your job is easy by any means.
No.
That's not what I meant at all. I'm just saying that, but you have assets now to work with. You have some cards to play as opposed to having.
Well, and that's
really
one piece of our job. The other piece is industrial development and bringing jobs here. And Paris Baguette they've broken ground. They're under construction to build their first North American plant in Burleson, Texas.
Yeah.
For all of their retail locations, and that's 450 new jobs.
Well, I didn't state my position very well. I'm just saying 12 years ago, we didn't have what we do now. Now you could go to people and say, here's what we got going on.
Yeah, for sure.
And whereas before they would be, we'll give it some thought. Now they seem like they're coming to us a little bit more.
A little bit. I mean, we're still recruiting and calling people that we feel like are a good fit for our market, but maybe they're a little on the outskirts of what they need, from a community to be in. We're still trying to kind of outcook our coverage a little bit.
You betcha.
We're not chasing the McDonald's of the world or some of the fast food joints as much anymore. Now, saying that, we heard in a couple weeks ago that we're getting our third McDonald's in town.
Where?
In front of the Walmart on John Jones in Alsbury. So,
okay, on Alsbury, you're right across from Alley Cats. Well, that's a good location for it. McDonald's.
Yeah, Alsbury's going to lead all the way out to the tollway. So, McDonald's and Walmart know their real estate really well. Yeah. So, that area is going to blow up.
Yeah, I've seen it on Alsbury, all that construction going on and whatnot. And
so,
it's there's one other space that I thought, I hit on earlier, but I didn't really ask much about it, and that's that space on Renfro. Right now, there's, as far as you could tell us, there's just a wait and see kind of attitude going on with the city since they own that property.
Yeah, so we own the property. We're working a deal right now with a developer, but it's not secured and approved yet. So
I know
I
better
can't say
to
anything
ask,
about it. But
no, I don't even ask anymore.
We think it'll be a good development for our community and fits the vision that we wanted to see on that property from council and from staff's perspective, and we feel like it'll be a good community fit as well.
It's interesting because I had the mayor on last week. I'm going to get Victoria on in about a month. She's doing mom duties right now, kind of thing. And they love the growth, but boy, it does have a lot of decisions to make about infrastructure and things like that.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
and so we got that trade school coming in, all that development west of here near the tollway. It's going to be something. I talked to the Joshua ISD people, and they're have the same understanding that part of Burleson is going to blow up, and it's in their school district.
Yeah,
and so you have to take care of that. Some people. I don't hear this as much as I used to, but some people lament that we're not like one little town. Because when I moved here, the attitude was we want to stay this way. I moved here in 1991, and I taught here since '88. And the attitude was we want to keep mom and pops, and that's about it.
100%.
And now the attitude I'm hearing is it's like that generation has moved on, and
I think there's some of that, but I think it's very important to my team and to staff that we support our small businesses and our mom and pops and. And we do that extremely well. I think we do that better than any other community around us.
I really do think so too.
That's what I tell people all the time when I'm talking to my counterparts in other cities. If you're not supporting your small businesses first, then in the end you're going to lose.
Yeah,
because they become your storytellers for new development and new businesses and new industry to come to your community. They're not going to call me first or my team first. They're going to their wives or their husbands are going to go into a local shop and, hey, how's the community like? How's it working with the city? Things of that nature. It's all about creating as many storytellers that we can for our community.
I grew up in a growing town in Plano, but it wasn't this type of growth. It was just tremendous amount of homes. It was a very boring community to live in.
Yeah,
we didn't do anything in Plano hardly except pizza joints. Well, whatever.
Yeah, your neighborhood hangouts.
Yeah, but we didn't have really places to go. If we had to go into Dallas or Richardson or something like that, and now we don't have to do that. Earlier, before you got here, I asked Josh here, if, as a member of what did I call you, Generation 6, 7?
No,
he's not going to.
No comment.
No, he won't buy that one. What would, as a young person living in Burleson, what would you want to see here?
So I think for me, and I don't want to speak for my entire generation.
No, you're a spokesman, man.
All right.
It, man.
What I've seen work in like Fort Worth, for example, and what I would really like to see in the city is a really good specialty coffee option.
Well, but okay, I'll just want to throw in there. Is that 7 Brew or?
No, I'm not talking about like a new
Daydream?
Dutch Bros or something.
Yeah.
Like we have Daydream, which used to be Dwell.
Yeah.
That's the closest that I can think of to my definition. I
get
want a
what you're
place
saying.
where I can go in with some friends, hang out for a while, get some work done, and get a really good cup of espresso.
Okay.
Kind of like a second home situation.
Yeah.
I feel like that would bring a lot of people of my generation.
What about like a craft brewery or something like that?
That too.
Yeah.
Depends.
No, I think, we got Murphy's Law Brewing Company coming in at the Standard.
I did not know that.
They're working on their space right now. They're going to they're going to actually brew on site from grain to beer.
Oh, how about that?
And they're working on their space, and they're hoping to be open probably later this year or first part of next year. So
I need to get them on the show and have them bring some samples.
there you go. There you go. So they're a really cool group. They're going to be a fantastic addition to the Standard, but also to the community as well.
Well, that's also a growing space as well.
For sure.
My old friends at Wild Cigar are still there, and they're doing. I haven't talked to them in a little while, but they're doing okay. Doing fine. And part of it has to be, if you could survive, seems like that first 3 years or so, then you could probably.
That's the ticket with small businesses. Survive the first 3 years.
Yeah, if you can get there to that fourth year, by that time you're pretty well established, or not.
Yeah,
and their Wild is still there, and
for sure.
And so it's really a good thing to live here in Burleson, because where I live. My home value's gone way high because of the schools, because of this, whatever. And they said, well, what about your taxes? Well, that's another conversation. But, I'd rather have this go on than have it declining like you see in so many other communities.
100%.
And I don't know if I know you probably listened to Mr. Fletcher's show last week, but they're going to try to alter the income composition, shall we say, between sales tax and property taxes and all this other stuff.
I wasn't able to listen. We were out of town at a conference last week, so sorry.
Hey, it's the World Wide Web, bro.
Sorry.
Well, you can talk. I'm sure he's brought it up with y'all before.
So
but y'all don't really weigh in on it too much, do you?
No, that's a council policy decision, and city management kind of discussion, and then ultimately that goes a state discussion as well.
Well, you must have a pretty exciting job, though, because you're right there at the very front seat of what's going on in this community.
We try to be the first call in somebody's Rolodex. I'm dating myself,
Your Rolodex. I remember what those are. You know what a Rolodex is, Josh?
Yes, I do.
Okay, fine. Just making sure.
He saw it at the museum last week.
Yeah, that's right. Along with vinyl.
Yeah. So, but I mean, we love what we do. My team does. And, it's just, we work for the citizens. We work for the community. Yeah, we have our structure inside in the city of who we work for and stuff like that. But ultimately,
you mean bureaucracy like every other major organization, public or private?
We're in a great spot right now, in a great city to to have some impact on what we want to leave for our kids and their kids. As we phase out over the next how many ever years from the city.
When I understood, when I moved here way back when. The city council was not nearly as pro-growth as this one is, and in part because you had families that owned land that didn't want to part with it. Mr. Fletcher still talks about how there's a local manufacturing plant here on Crowley Road that looked at Burleson first, and they got chased off, basically.
Harbors and Fisher.
Right. And he still says it drives him crazy. And also, he still grinches about the land swap we did, and that's where those hotels like Hampton and such are.
Yeah.
But it was before his time, so what are you going to do?
True.
You're not going to give it back. And so,
I wasn't around for any of that either. And, councils and growth, they all come in waves, just like life. And, we have a great council right now, and I don't see that changing in the foreseeable future.
Well, since we went through an election without an election, I guess so. I was the most disappointed guy in Burleson because all those candidates I thought would be on the show. Great for ratings, but, get a debate going, but and then nothing. Zip, nada.
Yeah.
I just talk about the nonprofits real quick.
Okay.
I believe we have one event that we're still pushing a little bit, and that's the golf tournament for chamber.
June 12th.
Yeah, June 12th. And we have a very good chamber as well, and that makes it great. The ladies will be on Monday, I believe. Yeah. I just have to remind them. And it's always a fun show. I mean, they're very sweet, and they laugh and they giggle, and I'm like, let's talk about something. They just
for sure.
A lot of inside jokes. Whatever. Friday, June 12th at Hidden Creek, which is also an attractive thing. I think that's one of the best municipal courses I know of. It's very nice.
It's one of the nicer ones around in the Metroplex.
You betcha it is.
Council's made it clear to make they want to grow that into a championship style course. So, over time.
Well, I asked the golfers that I know, and I said, "What do you think of Hidden Creek?" And they think for a municipal course, it's great.
Yeah, they did over 50,000 rounds last year. So I mean, they're doing well.
Yeah.
James Roberts that runs the golf course out there with Robbie, his right hand man, and then Parks oversees the golf course. So they do a great job out there.
Friday, June 12th. It starts at, I believe, 9:00, but I'm going to let them say for sure. But it's $600 for a team, $150 for an individual. They still got holes to sponsor. This is their big fundraiser.
Yes,
they have another one. Their fundraiser with the Honey Tour. They make some money from that, but not as much as this does. This pulls money
100%.
So this is a big deal. Also, I mentioned about the food pantries. Now that school is out. A lot of those pantries are going to be hit pretty hard for demand because the school lunches aren't there anymore. I know that Crowley and Burleson and Joshua ISD have like limited openings for kids kids meals. I think, if I recall, I think Norwood is one of the locations. I think there's another one in BISD, but they're not all the elementaries are doing it, and in high school and doing it and all this other stuff. So basically, if you have on a meal plan, it's very limited. And so I know Promises, where I was Saturday, they're really storing food for this because they start their Kids Eat Free program next Wednesday, a week from tomorrow, and it's going to be a close run thing. Yeah, and that's a well supported institution because it has my church behind it as well as private donors and whatnot. Harvest House will tell you the same thing. Kelly and I were talking about this last week. Was it last week? When was that network at night? Yeah. All right. And they're trying to raise money so they can buy food and all this. And they do buy, in bulk, but if that's all they got their food from, they'd be short.
Yeah, and inflation hits him too.
Oh boy. And then you have here the Crowley House of Hope. Yeah. And I need to get back in touch with them. Elizabeth Becker was their manager, and she retired about 2 months ago. So I need to kind of reestablish that relationship. But it's, and there's food pantries all over, I know, but it tells me something.
There is a need. Yeah, that's for sure.
And so that's going on. Also, I know in September, Center for ASD has got something going on. I know in October, Burleson Opportunity Fund has got something going on. I just had a meeting with them last week, and the leadership of the Opportunity Fund has really done a great job of tightening up certain things that got kind of loose from COVID days and past that, and they really have made strides in streamlining the operation. Let's put it that way. And we're now in a pretty good position. And also our friends at Next Step,
Megan and them doing a great job.
Yeah, I see Summer most of the time at the BNI meetings. She's not on vacation or something. And so, we're really lucky. And that's also a factor in this community. It's not just we have good churches. Yeah. We have good nonprofits. We have, I think, the best nonprofit system I know of. I mean, when I talk to people outside of Burleson, they this church has a food pantry or this one's open up like once a week or something like that. And we got all these things going on. So we're very fortunate.
Well, it tells you what kind of community we are.
That's what I'm thinking.
We're still that small town community.
One last question. Yeah. Trader Joe's?
No.
No,
not happening. We're not big enough and we're not urban enough to attract one of them.
Oh, well, okay. Well, thanks for showing up.
Yeah, and, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
We'll do this in the fall, and by then we'll have some more spaces coming in, I'm sure.
Hopefully we'll have some news on some bigger things too.
I really respect the job the three of y'all are doing, because it's, I feel badly how I phrase things. It's like, oh, your job does itself. It does not do itself. It is a 24/7 deal.
Yeah.
And
there's 4 of us now.
Oh, really?
So,
That's how big we got. Who's the 4th?
Jessica Torres. We brought her on about a year and a half ago. She's our data analyst for our group. So, because I'm not a data person.
Yeah.
I can sell it and I can talk about it, but I'm not one to get into the details.
Well, I got in my training at BSD, I got to be an analyst, whether I liked it or not. So anyway, but that's 4 now. So booming.
We'll be that way for a long time now.
I've been to your office. It ain't much space, brother.
No, we're full.
Yeah.
So, but it's good.
Or maybe the next Bond issue will be a new city hall. Boy, that'd get things excited.
Well, yeah, I'm sure it would. I may not be here for that.
No. You'll be here forever, and they'll probably have a statue to you at the plaza.
No. There'll be no statue.
No statue. So. The Alex Phillips Memorial plaque, at least.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thank you for what you do. You'll really make our you'll make our community worth living in.
I appreciate it,
and we know that your heart is with this community. It has been all this time.
100%.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll see y'all. See what I got going on. I mentioned Lucy and Eth will be on Monday. It's Melissa and Candace.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then next week I also have Jeff Kelly on. I have a fairly full.
Very cool.
June, July, and August is fairly well open, but I got Rod Lewis is going to come on. I'm going to have what's this one here? The Property Tax Justice Foundation. I had Kim Jones on about 10 days ago. Boy, she lit up my numbers on that one. That's a big pulling show. Also, the mayor will be on in late June because we're going to talk about the budget process. Yeah. In July. I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong map. Looking at. Did you see the show I had with young Mr. Bailey Mullins by any chance?
I did not.
Well, you had to check it out. He came on. He wanted to observe what was going on on my show with the mayor, and Chris said fine. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, there's no point in just sitting in the background. Get a mic and get on the table. And he had some comments that I thought were pretty interesting, And so I'm going to have him on in about roughly a month. So Bailey will be interesting. Also, one more. Oh, yeah, Jack Matson.
Yeah, very cool.
He has a charity event coming in early July.
Yeah.
Thank you, Josh.
Of course.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week, and y'all take care.